folks, Eric Wooldridge here, the Additive Guru channel, and today we're going to show you a unique trick that you can do with fusion and plasma cutters or CNC cutters to use objects to trace out creations to be cut. One of the things that we get requested a lot in the lab involving just design, that kind of thing, is using plasma cutters and CNC tools to make signages. In our particular region, we have a lot of agricultural base owners, and one of the things they like to do is put signages on their gates, especially in involving their cattle. We get requests all the time for cut files that are based on steer or bull sales, that kind of thing, and people want to cut them out of metal and hang them on something. So to do that, it's a pretty straightforward process. You just have to have fusion, use the same tricks that we've shown previously for actually applying the plasma cut technique. And I'm just going to show you a really quick rough version of one, or something that how you can bring an image and pull it in. First thing you have to do is find the image in question. And so here I have one just pulled up off of Google search. We see looks like a calf shot there. And of course you can find all kinds of animal silhouettes based on what you're shooting for. There's a cow. There's a cow grazing. There's lots of applications. And what a lot of folks will want us to do is like add somewhere in the middle the name of their farm to apply that. We won't worry about that in this case, but we're just going to show you the process. So we even got a selection here in terms of like beef cows. So pretty common. That one's a very static looking shape. It's a little bit too rough. Let's pick out one real quick and easy. There we go. Let's go for that bull right there. The bull has all these little stitching areas that has nothing to do with anything. We're just going to trace. So let's do this. Bull or steer may vary. Okay, so first thing I need to do is actually get this image. I can try right click and copy image, and let's see what happens if I try to paste it into Fusion. I'm going to hit new sketch, make sure I'm in the top view, and select that area there, and I'm going to right click and see if it'll let me paste. No, it doesn't recognize it. Try V. Nope, doesn't do it either. So sometimes you get lucky where it'll actually allow a pull in that way. Looks like I'm going to have to actually insert the image. So the first thing I have to do is go back and save this file somewhere. There we go. Just a file, call it beef here. Make sure it's a JPEG image. Make sure you right click and actually say save the image as. I think I hit the wrong button there. Hit save. And now the image is where I can find it. So I'm going to go into Fusion, and I'm going to insert the image. Now before I do, I'll make sure I know where the file is, which I do in this case. And so I'll go to Insert and hit the... When I do that, it pulls this up. I obviously want to select this face to put it on, and I'm going to set the image. There it is, beef. Hit Open. And you see the beef is slightly inserted. See it right there? Now before I get too far into this, I may go into here to units and change it from millimeters to, I'll probably have to do that to inch, because that's a very common size. And you see the bull here is at the origin, and it's in this insert point right here. So this is actually after my first sketch, which is okay. I can simply come back in here and say Edit Feature, and I'm going to rotate it this way. The problem you have with this is figuring out what size to make your object. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to go back and go into the sketch I made before I brought it in, and I'm going to edit that one. Actually, you know what? I'm still in that sketch, aren't I? Now, there we go. Edit sketch. It's before the actual beef was entered, and I'm going to draw a line that is in fact roughly the size of how big I want to make this. Let's see. By the way, watch out. Sometimes it draws an extra line there. And I'm going to make this thing, let's just say it's going to be 12, maybe 16 inches long. And the reason I'm doing this is to give me a sense of size with my picture. Doesn't have to be exact, but there's a line 16 inches, and I'm hit OK. Now, I'm going to go into this one in the timeline, right click and say Edit Feature, and I'm going to move the bull over here, and I'm going to grab this little scaler button and keep scaling him up until basically the width of the bull / steer is about the length of that line. It doesn't have to be perfect. I can just drag it back a little bit too there. There we go, maybe a little bit out, and we're good. and say okay. And so now I have a line and I have a bool, and I need to actually now trace around this bool. So I'm going to go in New Sketch, click on the same surface again, and I would go through the process. I can use a spline tool or a regular line, and I can just draw the object. I'll just do it fairly quickly because it's not really about the whole how detailed you are. The more clicks, the more well defined it'll be. But that's not what we're really after at the moment. So I'm just going to be kind of rough. Whoops. Got to make sure that you don't miss a point. You see there, tracing around, not being really good at it. And just kind of following the animal. We'll add a tail back in. And then follow across the back. And I make sure that when I get to the top, I close this thing up. You'll notice that it closed because you saw it change color there. That means I have done it correctly. So I hit escape. And so now I have an outline. The other thing about my outline though that's not a good thing is that I have to put it with respect to the origin. So I'm going to grab my outline somewhere and let's just see if I can't move it. Whoops, not that one. Might have to grab the whole bunch of lines. There we go. And I'm going to kind of see if I can't relocate this sucker all at once. And I want to put it roughly within, I'm going to move it over here actually. I want to put it where it's in roughly a ½ inch from the origin. And by the way, I'm going to go turn these off so that I can work without having to see them. So I'm going to get rid of sketch 1, and looks like I'm not going to be able to turn the picture off right now, so I'll worry about that later. So right here is my target. I want to get my sketch to about right where that point is. And so to even help me out a little bit, I'm going to draw a line from this starting point here, and I'll draw a line straight up. And so that will help me figure out where ½ inch is, or I can even, after I draw those lines, I can actually draw like a little offset line. I can use my offset tool that you see right here under modify to click this line and tell it to come up. Ooh, it's going to wrap itself around it. That's interesting. Unusual. Maybe I won't use the offset. I'll just basically gauge by drawing in a circle that is diameter 0.5. That circle basically shows me how far up and across I need to go to place my creation. Once I have that, come over here and get the bool. By the way, you can just use the move tool under modify to do this too. And you can grab it and just kind of drag it over, zoom in a little bit closer. And I'm going to make sure that my bool is slightly off from both those points. Seeing how it is the circle there. See it? And say OK. And now my bool is placed. I can come back and even delete these off afterwards. Now my bool is closed. And you can see the color differentials, you know what it is. My sketch is ready to go. I hit finish sketch. And my objective will now be to export this as a DXF. So I make sure it's turned on with the eyeball there. Make sure it's expanded out to see the eyeball. Right click and say save DXF as. And I just get to name it whatever I want. Signage 1. Save. Now I'll open this up in an AutoCAD program just to check to make sure I did it right, but I think all my settings were good, so let me go check it out here. And there we go. We can see that the bool is in fact one continuous line, which is perfect. We can see that it is a ½ inch up from the origin and ½ inch over from the origin, so this is a legit and good to go DXF file. Alright, so that's the overall technique of bringing in an image and tracing it so that you get something about the size that you want. And to do this, best way to do it is practice it. So I want you to go find a picture, a silhouette of some type. Could be anything, doesn't have to be in a farm album. You can find a silhouette on Google anytime you want to, and then follow procedures that I've done to create a sketch, trace it around, and then export it out as a DXF file for future plasma cutting or CNC cutting. All right, so give that a shot, and thanks for watching. Check out some of our other materials and social media that we have, and let us know if you have any questions. We'll see you.